Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we're talking about wrench options and what you should have to work on your bike. But before we get into today's video, if you're new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So like I said, today we're talking about wrenches and what options you have for using a wrench or a socket set, and different options out there, which one might be the best choice for you. So, nowadays, depends on what kind of quality bike you get. It's honestly like more about bikes starting to go through axle or quick release, and when they go through axle or quick release, you don't really need a wrench as often as you would think. Honestly, most of my newer bikes I have, there's nothing really for a wrench on them anymore. However, if you have a parts selection of bikes like I have, or you have kids' bikes or basic beach cruisers, something along those lines, you still have a need for a wrench, and it's not a bad idea to always have a wrench kind of on hand. So, what we got today is kind of a few different options for what you could use on your bike and what might be the option for you. Coming into the holiday season, Black Friday, deals everywhere. If you're looking to kind of start off your toolkit with a kind of a basic set of wrenches to start working on your bike, we're going to talk about it, see which ones you might actually be looking for and need for your circumstances. So first off, your basic option here is just going to be a set of standard wrenches. In this case, it's kind of a basic set of Craftsman wrenches that I've had for years and years and years, and they work good. There's nothing really wrong with them. You get kind of your standard one, we'll grab our standard 15 millimeter, probably one of the most common ones you use on a bike, and you can see a nice open end on the top and a closed end on this side. They'll let you grab onto different types of fasteners more securely than just the open end wrench. Pretty common, pretty standard, nothing really crazy about them. Normal length there, you can plug them wherever you want. Now there are better quality ones and worse quality ones. In this case, these are kind of the better quality Craftsman ones. Some are more Chinese. Just kind of depends what you're looking for, what kind you're getting at. There are different quality of wrenches, but realistically, a basic wrench set like this kind of cover you in most cases out there. Kind of get them all nice there. You get the nice, selection here. You do have to be aware that sometimes you're not going to get the full complete set. There's going to be some skips in there, which means essentially in this case, my 9mm right here is actually not a Craftsman. This is a totally different brand. What is this? This is the Husky, because this set didn't come with a 9mm. Same thing with 17 up at the top. Did come with a 17. This is another Husky wrench up at the top, just to kind of complete my set. That way I have everything, every size I need in the wrench set. So it's something you kind of need to be aware of when you buy a wrench set. Make sure it has the sizes you're actually going to use. I would say for a bike, 15mm, maybe a 17, and then kind of move it down. Based on what you have, you might need a 14, probably 13, and then 10 and 8 are probably your most common ones you're going to use. So, if you gotta have those basic sizes in there in the wrench set, could be a great option for you, really basic. Honestly, pretty easy to store around too. It's not that big of a wrench set. Again, universal on multiple different things. Your next kind of option is going to be a socket set. We're going from like most basic things you'd see up to kind of the things you might go, whoa, that looks kind of nice. So socket set, kind of be your nice next kind of thing. So you get a socket and ratchet set here. Pretty common again. Another old common thing. So with a socket set, you're pretty much going to get, a lot of times it's either going to be a deep or a shallow. Sometimes you can get both together. In this case, it's a deep socket set. So it has deep sockets here. So what that means is it's a deep socket versus kind of something about half this length is what the shallow socket. So what that allows you to do is to get onto axles and things like that where it might be sticking out a little too far. And if you use a shallow socket, it's going to bump into the head of the ratchet before you actually get it fully seated on the nut. So in my case, I like using the deep sockets on bikes. It will tend to work better for me. I tend to be able to get a little bit better grip sometimes with these. Now, there are cases where a shallow socket really is nice to have, but I tend to go for a deep socket myself. So, you get your sockets, and you get a ratchet here. In this case, it's a 3/8 set. So that's going to be what the head of this ratchet is going to be. So 3/8 sockets are going to go at a 3/8 ratchet. So there are different sizes out there. For bikes, 3/8, quarter inch, it's pretty much what you want. 3/8 I feel like is kind of going to cover the majority of things on the bike. Quarter inch, sometimes it's a little too small. It's not going to get you the leverage you need to actually loosen bolts up. Now, socket set can run you a little bit of money based on, what you're looking to get. In this case, this one was $32. when this was brand new. And this one came with metric and standard sizes. For a bike, pretty much going to want metric sizes. That's what most bikes are going to be. Now, there are some outliers there, but most bikes are going to be metric. So you're going to want the metric setup here. Now, one thing with this is it doesn't quite go very low. This one starts at 10 millimeters and goes up to a 19. It skips 18. So you are missing kind of a smaller size, that 8 millimeters. That is kind of a common one to use, is that 8 millimeters. That one's used on like cable clamps for your derailleur, for brakes, that kind of stuff. So you need to be aware of, again, what you're looking for and find something that has the full lineup of the size you need. Once you get it, again, multi-purpose works really well. Honestly, on this channel, you see me using a ratchet and socket set, pretty common, just because it's just what I go for. I go for that, simple to use. The ratcheting allows you to keep going back on itself without having to spin the wrench all the way around every single time. I find it to be very versatile and useful. This is what you'll see me use on the channel majority of the time. Now, the last thing we'll talk about is kind of a combo of both what we talked about, the wrenches and the ratchet. And that's going to be this awesome flex head ratcheting wrench set from the guys over at Suzume. You guys might remember Suzume. We've tested out some tools from them in the past. We tested out a fork wrench from them. Love that digital fork wrench. And they sent me out a brand new set of their extra long flex head ratcheting wrenches here. And this is kind of, like I said, a combination of both of those. So what you get, let's go ahead and pull one out of here. So you get a super long wrench right there. So you get super good leverage on this thing, no matter what you're trying to do. It is double headed, so one side's going to be a 14 millimeter in this case. The other side's a 15 millimeter. It is a ratcheting wrench. So it has a ratchet inside of there, so you can tighten up like this, like you would with a normal ratchet. So you don't have to remove this every time. It has a closed end on there, but with the closed end, there's no end to it. So you don't have to worry about axles getting in the way. You can slip this thing all the way on and loosen it up that way. This thing also has a flex head, so you can actually angle this head wherever works best for you ergonomically. Sometimes you're working on a bike on the ground. Sometimes you're working on a stand. You just can't quite get to a bolt just straight on like this because it gets in the way. You can just angle that guy out a little bit and wrench on it that way. Pretty nice setup there. Honestly, I've never had a set of these, and these feel quality. These feel good. So these guys, when you pick them up, so they come with this foam block here. So a lot of you guys are going to go, what the heck's a foam block for other than display? Well, this foam block is nice if you have a toolbox. You can put this right in your toolbox. Whether it's a small guy like this or the bigger guy like I have over there, you can put this right in your toolbox. Keeps everything nice and organized, nice and clean looking. In my case, it's not quite how I want to use these. And look at that. They include a tool bag to come with this, a tool roll that you can slip all these guys into, and they all just be ready to go. Along with that, these guys are double-sided with no skips. That means it goes from 8 millimeter all the way to up to a 19. No skips. Has every size in there you need. And that's great for bikes, because every once in a while you run across a weird-sized bolt. And this includes everything you need. So you have 8 millimeter for those, again, those cable clamps, all the way up to a 19 millimeter for like a BMX or a dirt jumper style axle that's a little bit bigger, and it's kind of tough to get those nuts off with a small wrench. And with this extra leverage on here, you have the ability to get that leverage on those nice seized up bolts. So we're going to go out to the backyard here. I'm going to switch these over to that tool roll, and we're going to bring these out, and we're going to see how well these work on actual bikes. So I have a few bikes in the backyard, which are honestly the ones that actually still have bolts on it, that can bolts and nuts that we can undo. And we're going to see how well these work and kind of compare them between them and see what's really worth your money and which one you should be getting for yourself. All right, so right back here, we got a few different bikes. So these are, again, we got some BMX bikes. We got beach cruiser, kind of things you would see bolt-on axles on still. So are still, fasteners that require a wrench to get off. So we kind of got all three of our options here. We got our Suzume, nice extended flex head ratchet wrench here. We got just standard wrench, and then we got a ratchet here. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the beach cruiser here. We'll give this guy a shot. We'll give the extended wrench. So again, you can put this guy wherever you want. And one way is going to be to loosen, and one way is going to be to tighten. So the way that ratchets is the opposite way. So you can see we're on loosen right now. So what we want to do, I'm going to go ahead and get right up here. We're going to get that at a good angle, and we're going to kind of nicely pull it off. And again, ratcheting wrench, you can just ratchet that till it's loose enough. You can grab it with your fingers. Ready to go. Then when you want to tighten it, you just flip this guy around. Go ahead and tighten that by hand. There we go. Flip this guy around. And whatever position you want to put it in, I got flipped it twice. There we go. All right. Flip the
it around, and then we just go ahead and tighten that guy right up. Just like so. And this with this long leverage here, it makes it so easy to tighten and loosen that guy without really any concerns, no matter how tight that guy is. So maybe if we go ahead and grab just our regular 15mm wrench, we put that on there. So first off, you're kind of stuck in this one position here. And to loosen it, you really got to yank on that guy to get that to come off. And then you have to reposition your wrench every time once it hits that point, once it hits the fork here. So I got that loosened. Let's go ahead and tighten it back up. You got to do the same thing to keep our leverage there. And then you tighten that guy down nice and tight. There you go. Then we got our ratchet. So the ratchet, again, a little bit bigger than the wrenches are. So put that guy on there, kind of get it in position we like, and there we go. And we can loosen it up. Nice and easy, just like so. And once we're all set, tighten it up, run it back in. And honestly, if we look at these guys kind of next to each other, you can see a wrench and a ratchet are about the same. A regular wrench and a ratchet are about the same leverage you get either way. However, this guy is, you get, what is that? Almost double the leverage off of the Suzume one. That's pretty nice. So let's see what else we got. What other sizes we got here we can kind of take off. So we got some, those probably 8s maybe. Let's see. Let's see if that's the right size. Oh yeah. We got 10 for our little fender bolt here. So again, kind of a tight spot to get into. And we can just get in there nice and easy with this flex head. Loosen that guy up, no problem. Tighten it up, no problem. Cool, that looks good. So regular 10mm wrench. Put that guy on there. And it's a little tighter. Oh, there we go. It's a little tighter to get in there. But it still definitely loosens it up. It does does an okay job. Nothing crazy about it. You get the job done. 7mm socket here. I'll see how this works. So I got our 10mm on this side. Let's see. It works pretty good. You can tell with the length of it, it is hitting the fender and rubbing on the fender. So that is one of the downfalls of the length of a socket and a ratchet set is that, yeah, it can get in the way of certain things. And if you care about your paint, care about your fenders, sometimes it's not the perfect choice to go with. It's definitely usable, but you gotta be aware of it rubbing on certain things. The other thing with the ratchet is because of kind of the leverage point of the ratchet, it's connected way down here, but your pivot point's out here. So what it's going to want to do is actually turn and twist this off and potentially round off a bolt. So you do have to pay attention to that as you get tighter, especially on the smaller bolts you get to. It does get a little bit trickier as you get to those smaller bolts. So you can see it works. All these choices work, and they will get it done for you. They'll get your job done. Ultimately, really, what it comes down to is, what you're looking to do. You're going to be one of the things that comes down to. Are you looking to do a bunch of the small stuff? Are you looking to do mainly just wheels and axles and remove those kind of things? Are you looking to do kind of a mix of everything? It kind of just comes down to that. Really, is the big point. Again, for me, I personally go with the socket and ratchet setup. I have a very wide selection of ratchets and sockets. I have a very wide selection of sockets that pretty much will work for almost every situation I'm in. And so that's kind of the way I've gone towards with a lot of these bikes. And it's just simple for me. The wrenches, I use them in certain cases because certain cases it just makes more sense to use a wrench, like in the case of this fender bolt here. The wrench doesn't touch the fender, keeps it nice and clean, still gets the same leverage you get out of a ratchet while being a little bit shorter because the smaller you go in wrenches, the shorter it is. So, I mean, you're missing an inch or two off of the top of there for leverage, but you can still get the same task done with the wrench. Now, these flex head wrenches, these are kind of a new thing to me. I haven't used these before. It's my first set I've ever had, and I will say they're pretty nice to have. There's a nice flex head on here that'll actually stay in the position you want it to be, gets it out of the angle, gets you that perfect spot so you can actually put the leverage and the torque you want into it to loosen or tighten a bolt up, which is pretty nice. Double-ended, so you get both sides on there, labeled nice and easily. The ratcheting head, I've had ratcheting wrenches before, and the ratcheting wrench, those are pretty nice to have. That's a nice game changer. I do have a set of just regular ratcheting wrenches, and since I went to those, they're pretty nice. They are pretty nice to have. So, it ultimately comes down to what you're willing to spend and what you're looking to do. Really, this flex head ratcheting wrench set from Suzume with that extra long reach to them might be one of my new favorite choices here. I really like them. I like how they perform. I like how they function. And they just work good for all these little small little bolts on bikes that are just kind of a pain to get to normally. This thing can just get to them and you get the leverage you want. Whether that's a fender bolt, a brake bolt, whatever that may be. These are pretty nice. If you guys are looking to check out these extra long ratcheting wrench set here, there's going to be a link in the description down below. Right now it is their Black Friday sale, so you guys can get a smoking deal on these wrenches. Check out that link down below. Again, I'll have a link to just a regular set of wrenches and a nice socket set, something I would pick up for myself down there as well. So if you want to check out any nice set that will get you by, links are in the description down below. Big thanks to Suzume for sending me out another great set of tools here to showcase some awesome tools out there and show you some great quality tools for a low price. If you guys enjoyed the video or maybe learned something today, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys. Love answering questions you guys have. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.